TLDR is look at penetration power, try to be over 30. Whatever gun you're trying to shoot 9mm, try to be over 30. PSTGZH is kind of the standard. 9mm doesn't pen. It just doesn't penetrate. I don't like 9mm. I don't use 9mm. 5.56, M855, there's your bottom, in my opinion. That's your bottom of the barrel, M855. Use that or everything better. 7.6239, the T45M1Z, great. 64 damage, 30 pen. Use that or better. That's the TLDR, I would say, if you don't want to go through everything, listen to everything I was just ranting about. 30 pen or better. You need pen. It doesn't matter. If you've got the Ultra Nozzler has 15 penetration, 107 damage. If I'm wearing T3 armor, you're going to have to shoot me in the chest like 15 times for it to kill me. It's not going to happen. First number is the armor that it can penetrate quickly. The second number is the next tier up that it can penetrate possibly. That's the percentage. T3 every time, T4 50% of the time. T4 every time, T5 1% of the time, or 10% of the time. T6 every time, T7 40% of the time. There's no such thing as T7, so this is way overpowered penetration-wise. This is your ballistics page. This is going to tell you how good your ammo is, how bad your ammo is. All the different details about your ammo. This is an overwhelming page. That's why I haven't scrolled down yet. This is a super overwhelming page. We're going to scroll down and we're going to check it out. First, I think this little color scale, whatever, I think is really misleading, and it factors in a whole bunch of other things that I don't necessarily think are important for a new player. This is your little chart. If you're trying to figure out what kind of ammo is best, find your caliber and check that out. We've been working with the AK, so we're going to go to 7.6239. Some of these have a bunch of ammo, like 5.56 has a bunch of ammo. We're going to check it out. We're going to show you, and I'm going to explain some things, but this is where you're going to go to look to see if your ammo is any good. 7.6239. Now, it's this little box right here. General rule of thumb is higher up on the list, worse it is. Further down on the list, better it is. There are exceptions to this rule. You can look up here and see the first column is damage, the next column is penetration, power, armor damage, and then we have accuracy, recoil, frag chance. These are all advanced numbers. We are going to be looking at penetration, power, and damage. Higher damage equals better. Not true. Because if you have, you have HP rounds, that does 87 damage. It's not bad, but it only has 15 penetration power. What does penetration power mean basically? Again, this is super basic. This is general rule of thumb stuff. Is that whatever the number is, it's the likelihood that it's going to go through that level of armor. So, with 15 penetration power, I can basically guarantee that level 1 armor I'm going to go through, and level 2 armor I have a 50% chance of going through. Level 3 and above, no shot of going through. So for another example, let's look at the 30% penetration, the T45M. I can basically assume that because this first number is a 3, I realize that they're not separated, this is 30, but the first number is a 3, so I can safely assume that this round will go through tier 1, 2, and 3 armor on the first shot, and basically have a 0% chance of going through 4 or 5 or 6. Okay, moving down to PS, same thing. I have a 100% chance of going through level 3 on the first shot. I have a 50% chance of going through level 4 on the first shot, and basically a 0% chance of going through 5 or 6 on the first shot. Now, the reason I say on the first shot is because once your armor takes damage, the amount of HP your armor has actually reduces its ability to stop bullets, and the whole big convoluted thing. You are weighing your damage against your penetration power every single time. So the likelihood that it's going to penetrate versus how much damage it does. The reason that is important is because it may look like this MAI AP is the best ammo for the 7.62 because it has 58 penetration. But that means that T5 armor, it's going to sail through. And T6 has an 80% chance of going through T6. Well, you have to weigh that against the fact that it only does 46 damage. So if they're wearing T6, it does 46 damage. That's going to reduce some damage. You're still going to have to shoot them twice in the thorax for a kill. But you also have to think about how often are people wearing T6 armor? Is this early in the wipe? Is this late in the wipe? Did wipe happen yesterday? If wipe happened yesterday, this is terrible ammo. No one is running T5 and T6 on day 1. No one. It's not possible. I mean, maybe you get lucky and find it in a stash, but like these are astronomical odds. So you have to think about that for all of your. Is my ammo good? How fast does it fire? This is like a wildly complicated. This is probably the most complicated system in the whole game, but I would say general rule of thumb is higher pen is better to a point. Once you have a 4 in this first slot on this list, and I would say that is probably decent ammo for whatever. Right, you have M80 rounds for the 7.62. That's got 41 pen and 80 damage. That is an excellent round because basically that's saying it's going to do 80 damage to somebody's thorax if you thorax shot them and they have T4 or less armor. T4 is super common. T5 is certainly more common. But then you have to look at the accessibility of the round. I can buy a bunch of M80 for cheap from Peacekeeper at level 3. M61, I can't even buy anywhere ever. I have to craft it, and it's like a 19-hour craft. But again, it goes 61. It flies through T6 armor. How often are you running into C6 armor? You have to run into that with everything. So when you're going through and trying to figure out which gun you're going to use, let's go look at the 9mm ammo because we put together that MP5. So we got this 9mm ammo. Look at this, 102 damage, 2 penetration. That means basically if they're wearing a t-shirt, this thing isn't going through it. So then this introduces, you're looking at leg meta because there's no way to armor your legs in this game. My point is, this is a very complicated page. I would shoot for something with, if you are just getting started, anything with 30 plus pen is basically great. If you are at the flea market level, you start to have a couple of traders unlocked. I would shoot for 35 plus penetration. I would not worry so much about the damage. This is a general, like, again, when you're going in, you look at the flea market, what options do I have? You can reference this against the flea market options for your ammo so you can see what options you have best available to you now. It is also going to matter what kind of caliber you're running with. The 9mm, the absolute top tier best ammo in the game for 9mm is only 39 pen and 52 damage. So that means it doesn't even have a 100% chance to go through T4 armor. But then if you come down to, say, the 7.62 5.4R has some of the best stats of ammo in the game, period. I mean, we've got 84 damage with 45 pen, 70 damage with 55 pen. Like, this is top tier ammo. Well, this only comes out of the SVDS, I think, is the only semi-automatic gun, and everything else is a bolt-action rifle. So you have to weigh all of these different factors on what you're doing and what you're using and what you're not. 5.56, like we talked about before, has so many different options. If it has less than 20 penetration, let's say, I mean, like M855, so 30. This is like bottom of the barrel because T3 armor is so accessible. If you have less than 30 penetration on whatever it is you're using, don't use it. Switch guns, get something else, find a different, go with something else. The one exception to the penetration rule is shotguns. You can try to go for a headshot. You just basically need one of those pellets to hit somebody in the face. Any of these, like 7mm is 8 pellets at 39. You just have to hit somebody in the head with 1 pellet in order to get the headshot. Or you can be shooting them in the legs if you want to go with something like the slugs or the rip ammo or whatever. Shotgun.